Yeah, we're ready now.
Third take. All right. So, my name is Jordan Pratt. I am from Uniontown, PA. I'm a business owner, I'm a creative, and I am someone who really enjoys the small things of life and wants to express himself in a more vulnerable way. I don't get to share my story and what brought me to my mindset or to the position I'm at today. So I really think it's important for people to be raw and open and honest. And that's what I really want to do today. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah,
What brought you to this point in your life?
great question. I think it's many things. To this point in 2025, a business owner, someone who's running and organizing events and resources for people. It's a product of what I came from. So I would like to say the history of Uniontown, PA, the traumas from Uniontown, PA, um, all of my experiences from that small city is what brought me to, creating everything that I have today. It was almost an outlet. I needed an outlet for one to get away from people, two to get out of situations where I knew were just traumatic and I shouldn't be in, and three to itch the new identity that I needed, right? Because my entire life I was a basketball player, didn't do anything else other than basketball until I'm 21, 22 years old. So when you lose that, and it's like, what do I do now? So after losing that, right, I have to figure out new identity, and then right at this time, my mom becomes paralyzed and in a wheelchair for almost 2 years. So it was almost like God was like, "Yo, Jordan, it's time to go home," because I started at Carlo. I was in the city for 2 years before I moved back to Uniontown, actually. So you know, him making me leave Carlo, me being upset because I have to leave the city, something I'm actually enjoying. I'm getting around better people, meeting new friends. But then he pulls that away from me, almost like, what's going on here? Um, but I think it was the right moment. My mom really needed me. She needed help getting back on her feet. Took her almost a year and a half to actually be able to walk again. Imagine someone who, single mom, someone who is very active, working still, but now she can't do any of that. So I think them circumstances brought me to where I'm at now, to wanting to create one. I need more freedom, and I need more money and time for the amount of, or the more money in the amount of time I'm putting out. Um, so I think all of those circumstances really brought me to where I'm at today in this area in Pittsburgh, PA, talking to you.
So, do you feel like you overcame your past or
Yeah.
that it shaped you into who you are now?
Great question. I feel that you never necessarily you can overcome it, but it's always with you. It's never something where you can just forget about, because it's always going to come back in some situation or circumstance. So I think that it molded me into the person I am. I like to wear it almost as armor, express it, tell people where I'm from, let people know my circumstances or what I went through. That way, one, they can get inspiration from it, or two, they don't ever have to deal with that and they can learn from my mistakes. I don't think enough people do that. Um, that's why I do it, so that people like me, because there are people like me in Uniontown who think big, who have great ideas, who want to travel the world or want to leave the city, because a lot of people in Uniontown, PA don't even get to leave Uniontown, PA. A lot of my family and friends never even got to travel on an airplane, and it's sad to me. And I right away knew that that would not be me. Um, Actually, not right away. After college, I knew that wouldn't be me. Seeing these circumstances, seeing my mom like this, I was like, this is not something I want to deal with, right? Um, and I was afraid to fly on an airplane.
Oh,
It was like one of those things growing up in Uniontown, P. Everyone's afraid to fly because they're told, oh, you know, you just shouldn't fly or this and that. I heard that my entire life. I never went to a beach until I was 18 years old.
Mhm.
So all of that really molded me to what I am today. You know,
Mhm.
wanting to travel, wanting to see the world. I've been to Aruba 3 times now. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Seattle. I've been to LA. I've been to San Diego. I think all of that really transitioned in my mind into wanting to explore
Mm.
more. So,
So how do you define success?
how I love that question because it's really different for everybody.
Mhm.
I like take a deep breath on this one because when it comes to success, it's like, what does that look like to you? Like for me, success looks like being able to see my family whenever I want, being able to travel and support them whenever I want, when I can pay off all of our debt, because debt is a very, very strong hindrance to a lot of families. Um, when you can be an outlet to people and not have to worry about the stress of, oh, can I give this? That's when I feel successful. Um, right now, of course, we're building that.
Mm.
We have some success. There's the freedom of time that I've claimed, and I'm really have my time freedom now to where I create my own schedule. I can go here when I want, but the money doesn't always add up to
Mm.
that, right? So it's really gauging what it looks like to you. For me, I'm not successful yet. I've hit some strides in my success. I've came to points where I feel like, oh, you know, I did this, I did that, right?
Mhm.
But I think when it comes to someone like me or someone who's creative or wants to be a business owner, it's never ending. So success is really, it just varies. But
Mhm.
my success would be measured based upon the legacy side of things. It's like I said, once I pay off all my family's debt, once I can really truly be an outlet to people and not have to worry about that money coming back to me,
Mm.
that's when I feel I'm a successful person. Rather than the other side of things, you know, a lot of people's success can be based off of how much money they're making in a year or, you know, what their stock price is or certain things like that. I don't necessarily care about that.
Mm.
Of course, I want it, but that doesn't measure my success.
So you mentioned an identity shift after you left basketball. Do you feel like you found that identity, or are you still finding it?
I I have found that identity, and I'm super excited. I think when it comes to my identity, it's many different many different things in a way, right? Because I'm a curious George. I like to be curious about things.
Mm.
And I don't always know what I'm going to be curious about because when you come from, like, again, it all ties back into Uniontown, PA. When you are from Uniontown, you're not introduced to a lot of things. It's almost like you either have an option. You can either choose to introduce yourself or never introduce yourself to anything. I chose to be curious and I love being curious. So my identity is based off that.
Mhm.
Also based off of just being more open rather than hiding things. I'm comfortable in myself, but I don't necessarily share my identity with people yet fully.
Mm.
Because some parts of you, I do believe, need to be personal.
Mm.
Some things do need to be shared, some things can be an inspiration to others, but some things are personal. Um, and some things, if you share it, I think can almost cause friction between certain worlds.
Mm.
So that's the position I'm in now, to where I'm wondering, like, I'm comfortable in my identity. I know who I am, but how do we present that to the world? How do we get the world to understand me um, in that way?
Mm. So what do you feel that you're not presenting to the world that you want to start presenting to the world?
Yeah. There's a there's a side of me that I would say a few people are used to,
Mm.
but then majority of the people that know me aren't used to, which is really like the creative side of me. I'm an artist. I make music. I have 2 to 3 albums out on Apple Music and Spotify. If you look up Jordan Noel on either of those platforms, you'll be able to find me. But I think that outlet, my music journey, I don't necessarily share enough And the reason being is because when you have business and then you have creativeness, those worlds sometimes don't align. And I think that's what I dealt with, to where how do I bridge those gaps? How do I share parts of me that I need to share in order to be sane and express myself, but also not get too, maybe vulgar or too crazy to where my business world, sees this and are like, what's going on here?
Mm,
So that's where I think I'm at as far as sharing my music side of me, that creative side, to where it's more vulnerable,
mm,
and not everyone can understand vulnerability,
mm,
and not everyone appreciates vulnerability. Some people take that and will weaponize it. So that's where I'm at now with that journey. I'm a very introvert extrovert, if that makes sense.
mm,
I'm a person who likes to keep things to himself, doesn't really like to share, but also needs to share. So
mm,
um, it's scary sharing your vulnerabilities with the world that sees you as a businessman, because as a business owner, you have to be on top of your game. You have to be able to present yourself and, be a leader and a role model to people. So when it comes to music, if you're expressing your vulnerabilities, they don't always relate.
mm,
So that's where I'm at with the
mm.
music thing and the business world, is how do I bridge the gaps and say fuck it to just sharing it and being okay with the results.
Well, can I challenge your perspective? Because I
Yeah.
think it can be kind of empowering sometimes to like share where you've come from and
Hmm.
fully express yourself. And I think people, even in business, will relate to you on some level. Like, I think we've all been through something.
Yeah.
Because I've been through that too, where it's that fear of full expression. But I think ultimately people want to work with people that they can connect
They
to.
can connect to.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that perspective. That's actually super refreshing, because I need to talk to more people like you, or more people that actually bridge that gap. Um, because, the people that I may have talked to previously, one, doesn't know how to bridge that gap.
Mm,
Two, um, I don't think they ever will bridge that gap.
mm-hmm,
Right? A lot of people that I've ran into in the business world almost hides a lot of parts of them.
mm-hmm.
I don't like to hide, because really I'm not a good hide. I can't hide really good, anyways,
Yeah.
because you'll read it all over my face. It's like
Mm-hmm.
my forehead tells it. Everything will tell you what I'm thinking most of
Mm.
the time. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
What do you feel that you're most passionate about creating and in this phase of your life?
I find myself creating more, when there's some type of emotional toll,
Mm,
and it's been more, more music lately. Sharing vulnerabilities that I don't necessarily share on Instagram
mm,
or LinkedIn. So I think, yeah, I'm in the music era still, because I have so much undropped music that I really want to get out there. I
mm,
really, really want to share it, because I think I'm really evolving into my songwriting and production, to where I'm being more vulnerable.
mm,
Um, and I'm expressing myself in a better way,
mm,
almost. So yeah, I think it's the music side of thing, and me really sharing my voice and sharing my thoughts on a song.
mm,
And podcasts. I think podcasts are big. Like, this podcast is huge for me. I really enjoy this. I'm very appreciative of this. So
mm.
thank you. Um, Tyler's podcast, I think that was very helpful for me as well. I get to share myself. I get to get comfortable talking
Mm.
again about myself, rather than shaking, getting nervous and jittery. I think it's very important for people to do. So I'm very appreciative to be able to do this and have this outlet. That way people can get inspired.
So, does inspiring people drive a lot of what you do?
Yeah. Um, I like to say get your mind right a lot. it's a big phrase I use, get your mind right. And I would like people to say it to me more, right? I think a lot of times when we want good for ourselves, there's a lot of people around us or we may come across that doesn't necessarily want that. So I'm the person who tries to pull it out of them. I'm the person who wants to inspire people to be their best selves. And if they're not doing it, I get kind of crazy about it. So yeah, I would say all of this really just makes it's a product of me wanting to inspire people, right? Coming from Uniontown, I say that a lot. It's like a place where there's not much inspiration, so you really have to find it or create it yourself, which turned me into a beast of like just wanting to pull it out of people and pull it out of myself.
So is that kind of your main mission in all that you do?
Yeah, I would say inspiration, inspiring people, and really building a legacy for my family. And those two things are really hard to see at times. I think, we get caught up in life too much to where it's like a cycle of going, having to pay bills, having to pay rent, getting in certain relationships that maybe don't really support you at that time to where you shouldn't be in. Will all backtrack you and get you off your mission. But I think God gives us a mission of like our purpose, and that is my purpose: creating and inspiring people through creation, finding solutions to problems. I think that's truly the mission that God gave me, and what I feel best in at like myself the most.
You mentioned God a couple times. What's your relationship to God like?
Um, I love that question. I like breathing when I talk about this because I want to be as calm as possible. All of this being outside is a product of my relationship with God, right? It's like God has been an outlet for one to get my mind right. I keep saying that. That's my phrase, get your mind right. It's the outlet where I can be vulnerable. It's the outlet where I can lean on someone because when you're an outlet to so many times you don't have an outlet for yourself. So God is really that outlet for me. Um, to keep sane. I listen to a lot of Christian music. I listen to a lot of gospel music. Um, try to pray every morning. I listen to, I read my Bible. Maybe not as much as I should. I'm not the perfect Christian by all means, but I am someone who does hold his faith strongly and believes in Jesus a lot to the point where I truly believe he saved my life on many occasions and saved my family's life on many occasions. So I would never stop praising someone like that, right? That's my foundation. That's what almost keeps me sane, gets me out here. I can talk to him. It's a person I can talk to, someone that it's an outlet, the perfect outlet for any business owner or any creative to really want to express himself, um, and be vulnerable without judgment. So yeah, that's my relationship with God. I love it. I think that's a huge foundation of mine. It's like very important.
Why did you create Bridge City?
Um, Bridge City Connections. So I created Bridge City Connections simply for an outlet, and I feel like I keep repeating myself, but again, coming from Uniontown, PA, you don't have many people that think like you or think big ideas or wants to be an entrepreneur necessarily, right? So I wanted to create an outlet for me to put like-minded people around me, get ideas, brainstorm, maybe you know build business partners somehow. So I hosted a networking event at Blue Sky Kitchen, and this was about a year ago, year and a half ago. And there's like 12 people there, right? Which I absolutely loved because everyone that was there showed up to talk about business, showed up and was excited about you know, the purpose of the event was strictly to network about real estate or business or crypto or some type of advancements that are happening right now in the world. So that's why I created Bridge City, and then it evolved into an outlet for many more. Almost became an educational platform and a resource hub for entrepreneurs and young professionals. We're a year and a half in now, and we're 16 events in. We had sponsors from PNC to United Purpose Mortgage to PA Land Titles to other small businesses and organizations that sponsored us or partnered or collaborated with us over the year. So it became a place where people really just go to get resources, go to find networking and find collaboration.
Mm.
Um, Another reason I really wanted to create Bridge City because I went to a lot of the networking organizations. They were fine, but it wasn't the perfect outlet for me.
Mm.
It's not the perfect outlet for someone who is beginning or needs to build brick by brick. Those are perfect outlets if you do want to scale and you're already an established business. You can maybe use that platform to scale up your business. But
Mm.
if it's someone who wants to start from the beginning, brick by brick, and needs an outlet to maybe meet people, get ideas, or grow to become a big business owner, those organizations wasn't the outlet.
Mm.
So I created that. I created somewhere where that's more open, somewhere people can be more vulnerable, people can share their ideas if they don't have it business started already.
Mm.
Um, and Brick City became that outlet for people, which is super refreshing at times because one, I needed that outlet, and two, now I feel that I'm educating and
Mm.
inspiring more. I can put on more resources and organize more things to where more people can take advantage of it.
So what have you learned about yourself through creating Bridge City Connection?
One thing I learned about myself, and this is not to you know look down on people, but I'm not a therapist, and I say that as something that's funny because, and I'll say it again, I'm not a therapist. I say that because when you do have many members or many people that are looking to you as an outlet to maybe get advice, some of that advice that they're trying to get isn't necessarily what I should be giving.
Mm.
So I realized one, and I'm laughing about it. I'm not a therapist, guys. Like, I'm an outlet for business. I don't know everything, but I am very resourceful, and I do like to find the solutions.
Mm.
So I learned that. Also learned that business takes an entire ecosystem, right? Business, when it comes to creating a business that's worthy or a longevity,
Mm.
it really, you can't do it alone. So you really have to figure out creative ways. One, if you can't pay someone, how are you going to get them in the room to one, collaborate with you or build something with you? So I'm learning that about myself, that I am almost someone who can organize people. I can organize resources. I'm a very good organizer as far as the ideas and getting people in the room. So I'm learning that more about myself.
Mm.
I'm learning more of being okay and giving myself grace with my ideas as well, because I do believe, and not to toot my own horn, some of the things that I think about, I don't necessarily think that other people are thinking about at at the magnitude that I think about it. So
Mm.
me learning that about myself and learning that I need to be more open, need to express myself because it's very important, and that may be the journey that God put me on, and why He gives me some of the visions and ideas that I get. So that's what I learned about Bridge City.
Mm. What pays your bills?
Great question. Great question. So, Bridge City Connections is fun and all.
Mm.
It's in place where it's not necessarily paying my bills yet. It's still being funded by my other business, Fast and Efficient Services, which is on the hat. It is my face
Mm.
right now. Um, Fast and Efficient Services was started back in as soon as I moved to the city. Actually,
Okay.
I had $300 to my name. I was working for family-owned moving company. Shout out to my cousin Huggy, who pretty much taught me the game. He was in Morgantown, West Virginia. So I was driving back and forth from Uniontown to Morgantown, and then when I moved to the city, I was driving from Pittsburgh to Morgantown almost every day.
Wow.
So that's a three hour round trip. Um, so I was like, I can't do this anymore. Started Fast and Efficient Services. Immediately started to pay my bills. Not necessarily immediately because it took a lot of faith and struggle the first month. of not getting any dollars and just strictly creating websites, creating the marketing, creating and telling people about it until I finally got my first job. And from there, we're in 2025 now. You know, I moved hundreds of clients throughout the city, hundreds of reviews, and we're continuously going. We're moving residential and commercial clients, and it pays my bills. I work part time, even
Mm.
though it's a full time business. Yeah, it almost when I first graduated college, the number one thing I told people was I want freedom of my time. We all want financial freedom. It's a little hard to get to, but I think the very first thing is how can you get freedom of your time because that ultimately will get us to financial freedom.
Hmm.
So I created that with fast and efficient services. I wanted to make sure I have an outlet to where I don't work that much. Um, and when I say work, I mean physically working,
Right.
the labor side of
Hmm.
things, because there's always work on the back end. It's like a continuous cycle of work. But when it comes to physically working and having to go meet with clients or having to go do a 9 to 5, I wanted to avoid that as much as possible so that I can
Mm.
get the most out of my time. And I created that. In 2025, we're here now, and I still have that experience.
Mm.
So I'm grateful.
So, what do you want people to feel or take away from your music?
Yeah, great question. I feel like when it comes to Jordan Noel's music, and that is my artist name, it's usually something that's relatable. It's something that if you're feeling some type of way, you're going through a certain circumstance, you can listen to my music and find some type of outlet or put yourself in my shoes in a way.
Hmm.
It's a place where I talk a lot about my relationships. I talk about a lot of what's going on in my life. So a lot of the history of what I came from. I think all of those stories are expressed in my music, and if you're going to listen to it, you should be prepared for that. It's not. I don't. I can make turn up music. I can make a club song, but I think that music isn't necessarily as relatable as it should be. Some of my favorite artists are like the Rod Waves. I'm just going to focus on Rod Wave right now because his music's so relatable and it's usually some type of expression he's putting on. I make a lot of music like that. So if you are listening to my music, just be prepared for that. I'm not sad. I leave my emotions in my music most of the time, and I like to move on. It can come back up if I listen to that song again, of course, but most of the time, once I make a song, that expression is usually left
Mm.
with that song. So, yeah, you'll get relatable music if you listen to my music. And find me on Spotify, Apple Music at Jordan Noel, on all outlets, all platforms.
So, what would you title this chapter of your life?
The journey. Um, the journey is a long. It's a long one. It's a long play. So I think coming from where I come from to this point I'm at now, I've came so far, but I'm not where I want to be. So there's still a long journey to where we want to go,
Mm.
and I'm still on that. So I think that's where I'm at now. The journey.
And what are you learning to love about yourself?
I'm loving to love my vulnerabilities more. My the uncomfortable situations of myself, like the uncomfortable parts, because that's where I get the best outcomes out of.
Hmm.
When I really don't run from that, I am vulnerable with expressing it. Or, like, for example, right now, you know, giving interviews isn't necessarily the most comfortable situation.
Hmm.
But me giving an interview, although I do feel a little nervous and shaky, I also feel a lightness of expression and being able to articulate myself. Yeah, that vulnerability is just very important to me. I don't get to share a lot.
Mm.
Not necessarily hard for me to share vulnerabilities because I'm the type that will tell people my circumstance. I'm not afraid to. And I always like to give a backstory because it helps people understand and relate. But I don't necessarily always have that outlet to be able to share. So when you do in something like this, a more intimate situation, it's almost like, yo, those jitters are coming out. It's like, get it out, express yourself. Don't be scared. It's okay. If I can leave everyone with one thing today, it would simply be to get your mind right. And I say that it's one of my favorite lines, but it's something that I do not take lightly. It's something that I try to live and say every day, because it's super important. We often find times where we're in certain situations or mindsets to where we feel stuck, but it's important to keep continuing your journey and make it out of that situation. Like I said, this phase of my life, I'm still on the journey. So if you need an outlet or someone to talk to, I can be that person. Um, and from my experiences and the situations that we talked about in this, I hope someone gets inspiration or can find a way out of the place they're in now. Um, and I truly, truly want to thank Tally for this incredible experience and interview. I really haven't been a part of something like this. So I'm very, very, very grateful for Tally and her incredible um, business and project she has going on. So shout out to her. Go follow her on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, and make sure you guys come to our Bridge City Connections event every last Thursday of the month. We have one this Thursday. You probably won't see this by Thursday. So come to the next event for Bridge City Connections, because you're going to be able to get around like-minded people, young professionals, business owners, creatives, all of the above, guys. Can't wait to see this interview. And again, thank you, Tally.
Yeah,
This is
thank you,
awesome.
Jordan.